The theater was quiet in a soft, waiting way, like the moment just before a deep breath. Lights rested gently on the stage, warm but not loud. People settled into their seats, some whispering, some smiling, some simply watching. The judges sat behind their long table, cups and notes placed neatly in front of them. Simon Cowell leaned back with his familiar calm look. Gabrielle Union folded her hands and watched the curtain. Julianne Hough smiled at the audience, while Howie Mandel tapped a finger in thought. Terry Crews stood at the side of the stage, feeling the small buzz that always lived in these moments. This was another audition day, another chance, another story waiting to begin. No one yet knew which story would stay with them. The air felt open and patient. It did not rush, it allowed space for something honest to arrive. When the announcer called the next name, the sound carried softly, like a door opening. Kodi Lee walked onto the stage with careful steps, guided by his mother, Tina Lee. Felt bright, but he did not turn away. He stood near the microphone, hands relaxed at his sides. Tina spoke calmly, explaining that Kodi was blind and autistic, and that music was how he understood the world. Her voice did not ask for pity. It offered truth. In the audience, people leaned forward. Some nodded without realizing it. Kodi waited, breathing in the space. The judges listened closely now. Simon's expression softened, just a little. Gabrielle's eyes warmed. This was the relatable problem, though no one named it yet. A young man with a big inner world standing in a place that often asked for speed and noise. The stage waited to see if it could meet him where he was. When Kodi sat at the piano, the room seemed to lower its voice. The bench creaked quietly. His fingers hovered for a moment, then found the keys as if they were old friends. The first notes fell gently, like raindrops on still water. He began to sing, and the sound was clear, strong, and full of feeling. It was not rushed. Each word rested where it belonged. His voice carried longing and hope together, weaving them into a single line. People in the audience felt their shoulders relax. Some closed their eyes. Simon leaned forward now, elbows on the table. Gabrielle's lips parted in surprise. Julianne placed a hand over her heart. Howie stopped tapping. The music filled the theater without pushing. It made room for breath, for memory, for quiet understanding. In that moment, Kodi was not defined by labels. He was simply a voice telling the truth. As the song continued, something gentle changed in the room. The audience stopped thinking about the competition. They stopped thinking about what came next. They listened. The piano carried a steady path, and Kodi's voice walked it with care. There was strength in his calm. There was courage in his openness. When the final note faded, the silence held for a heartbeat longer than usual. Then the theater rose in a wave of sound. Applause filled the space, loud but warm, like a shared release. Terry Crews wiped his eyes and laughed softly, overwhelmed. Gabrielle stood, clapping high above her head. Julianne followed, smiling through tears. Howie's face broke into a wide grin. Simon stayed seated for a second, then stood as well, nodding with real respect. Kodi smiled, not fully seeing the crowd, but feeling them clearly. He held the moment with both hands. The judges spoke one by one, their words careful and sincere. Howie talked about bravery and talent living together. Julianne spoke about light and honesty. Gabrielle thanked Kodi for sharing his gift so openly. Simon paused, then said that this was one of the most extraordinary auditions he had ever seen. His voice was steady, but his eyes were bright. Then Gabrielle reached for the golden buzzer. The sound rang out like a bell, and golden confetti poured down in a soft storm. Kodi laughed in surprise, his joy open and unguarded. Tina hugged him tightly. The audience cheered again, louder this time, but the heart of the moment stayed gentle. This was the twist, quiet and kind. The show was not lifting Kodi up. He had lifted the show, reminding it how to listen. As the weeks passed, Kodi returned to the stage again and again. Each performance carried the same calm strength, but each one also grew in confidence. He sang songs that told stories of love, loss, and hope. His voice moved easily between soft and powerful, always true. The arrangements were simple, letting the feeling lead. The audience learned to wait with him, to let the music arrive in its own time. Simon watched closely, sometimes closing his eyes. Gabrielle smiled often, her hands folded in appreciation. Julianne swayed gently, feeling the rhythm. Howie spoke less and listened more. Terry greeted Kodi with warmth backstage, offering encouragement that felt like friendship. There was pressure now, but but Kodi met it with focus. Music was his safe place. On that stage, he knew who he was. Between performances, the world outside the theater moved quickly. Social media buzzed. News clips played. People shared Kodi's songs with family and friends. Messages arrived from strangers who felt seen by his voice. Yet on stage, the pace stayed slow. Each note mattered. Each pause meant something. Kodi's mother stayed close, steady and proud, reminding him to breathe and enjoy the journey. The judges talked about growth and connection. They did not rush him toward the finish line. They allowed him to walk there at his own speed. The competition tightened, but the tone remained respectful. This was not about being louder or bigger. It was about being real. The audience learned that lesson too, week by week, song by song. When the finale arrived, the theater felt different. There was excitement, yes, but also a deep sense of care. Kodi sat at the piano once more. The lights softened around him. He began to sing, and the room followed. His voice carried everything he had learned along the way. It held gratitude, courage, and quiet joy. The song unfolded slowly, giving space for meaning. People cried openly now, not from sadness, but from release. Simon watched with a small, thoughtful smile. Gabrielle nodded gently, eyes shining. Julien breathed in time with the music. Howie pressed his hands together, grateful. Terry stood at the side, hands over his heart. When the last note settled, the applause rose like a tide, strong and steady, lifting everyone together. The results came with the usual suspense, but the feeling was already clear. When Kodi Lee was named the winner, the joy was deep and calm, not sharp. He smiled, surprised again, and laughed softly. Confetti fell, but this time it felt like a quiet celebration rather than a storm. The judges clapped and stood. Simon nodded with respect. Gabrielle hugged Julien. Howie raised his hands in triumph. Terry cheered, voice full. Kodi thanked the audience, his words simple and sincere. He thanked his mother. He thanked the music. In that moment, winning felt less like an ending and more like a doorway opening. The story had grown beyond the stage. After the lights dimmed and the theater emptied, the feeling remained. People carried it home with them, into their cars and living rooms and late-night thoughts. Kodi's journey reminded them that listening can change everything. That slowing down can reveal beauty. That strength can be gentle. The show returned to its busy rhythm, but something had shifted. A standard had been set, not for volume or speed, but for heart. Kodi continued to sing, to share, to live in the language that made sense to him. His story did not rush forward. It unfolded, and for those who had listened from the beginning, that was the greatest gift of all.